Welcome back, Husker fans. This is Cornfield Confessional. I'm your host, Jake Brown. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday so far. It has been brutally cold and snowy in Kansas City lately. Not fun. Hope wherever you guys are located is better weather than here. So you all saw Nebraska released their 2026 football schedule. Everyone's kind of shitting in their pants a little bit. It is a gauntlet of a schedule. So open up the year with Ohio, September 5th, then Bowling Green at home, and then we close out the non-con with North Dakota at home. Excuse me, still getting over this sickness. Then we travel to East Lansing to take on Sparty. And then we come back home for a 2-game stretch. Got Maryland and then Indiana. Then we travel to Eugene for just the first time since 2017. God, that's going to be tough. It's a raucous crowd in Autzen Stadium. Then we come back home against Washington. And then we take on Illinois and Rutgers on the road. Come back at home against the Buckeyes, and then we finish out the year at the Hawkeyes. So, yeah, I mean, the non-conference, I really don't like, with the addition of all these, UCLA, USC, Washington, all these Pac-12 teams, it's, the super conferences now, you only have a 3-game non-con schedule. You play 9 conference games, which just I don't like. I want another game in there so you can figure out what the hell your team's going to be like. What are your strengths and weaknesses? I like the old days when you played 4 or 5 non-conference games. It's not the case anymore, so not a whole lot of time for the Huskers to kind of work through the kinks. Ohio, Bowling Green, and North Dakota, none of them are going to give us much of a challenge, I don't think. Looking at their last season results and just what they've got coming back, I don't think any of those should be a challenge for us. But what I wanted to do today, guys, is walk through each game, give you my predictions for how it'll pan out, and then go through my overall record prediction for the Huskers. And then I'll kind of do a final review of each position group on offense and defense. So let's kick it off with the starting game. So I see us taking care of business against Ohio, September 5th at home. They're a MAC opponent. It'll be a controlled win. I don't think that I don't think Nebraska's going to have any trouble. Ohio just doesn't have the size or depth or the talent. It's just really that simple. I know in the NIL transfer portal era, there's a lot more parity in college football and college sports, but that should be one we take care of pretty easily. So we'll start off 1-0. Then Bowling Green, same thing. They were not a good defense in 2025. This should be another confidence-building game for the team, get a lot of guys in, but we'll take care of business at home. 2-0 record. Then we move to North Dakota, the final non-conference game. They're a tough team. All the Dakotas, South Dakota State, South Dakota, North Dakota State, North Dakota. They can beat good teams. They're well coached, but they're just simply outmatched. They don't have the talent or depth to keep up. So Nebraska will start off 3-0 in non-conference. Then we travel to East Lansing to take on a pesky Michigan State team, but I see us taking care of business. They lost a ton of guys in the transfer portal, including their quarterback, their top receiver, top running back. So they're in the process of rebuilding. I was reviewing their 2025 recruiting class or 26 recruiting class, better than Nebraska's in terms of overall ranking, but they didn't get a ton of 4- and 5-star guys. So it's going to take them some time. So I see the Huskers winning that one on the road, getting to 4-0. Then we come back home against Maryland. The Terps are pesky. We barely hung on to beat them at Maryland this past season. They bring back Malik Washington at quarterback. They've got some talent. Their coach knows how to recruit. But I think at home, with the focal point of our offense being the rushing attack, I think we'll beat them up on the ground and we'll take care of business. So Nebraska, everyone's going to be talking about them. They'll start 5-0 until we take on Indiana. at home. The only thing that's going to make it somewhat intriguing is it is a home game for the Huskers, but Indiana is one of the most complete teams on this schedule. They got a ton of guys in the transfer portal. They're recruiting at a high level now after winning the national championship, but they're just really disciplined, physical, and efficient. They're like Nebraska is in basketball. So this will be the first reality check. It could be a blowout loss at home. So we'll be 5-1, and then we head to Eugene. This is going to be a loss. Autzen Stadium is one of the toughest places to win. They've got elite speed. They recruit at a top 10 level every season. They got a ton of guys in the transfer portal, even though they lost a bunch. This is going to be a tall order for Nebraska. On the road with a new quarterback in Calandria, it's going to be tough. So we'll be 5-2 after that loss. And then, hey, we finally get a bye. Week 8. Week 8 into the season, we finally get a bye. That's amazing. We play 7 straight games before getting a bye. All right, then we take on Washington at home, October 31st. I see this being a loss. Washington's got a solid roster. They can recruit. They've got talented guys. They had a pretty good year last season. They held their own against some elite teams. I think they're only going to get better with their quarterback returning and all their playmakers. I think at home it'll be a close matchup, but I think ultimately their depth on offense and defense makes them dangerous. We'll compete, but they'll win that game. So Nebraska's going to lose 3 in a row. All the momentum, all the hype, starting 5-0, and then the reality check, losing 3 in a row. So I think after 5-0, we'll head to Illinois. We will win. They lost all of their best players from their past season. I know Brett Bielema's had our number, but I think we finally get revenge on him this season on the road. They're physical. They're well coached. But if Nebraska avoids turnovers, we can win. I think we're going to lean on the running game. So we'll get back on track, 6-3. Then we'll head to Piscataway, take on Rutgers. That'll be a win. I know Greg Schiano is a good coach. I respect him. He's done good things to that program, but I just don't see them matching up with the Huskers' talent and depth. They're improved, but we're just stronger. This will be a business-like road win. So that'll move us to 7-3. Then we take on the Buckeyes, and Ohio State's still Ohio State. I don't care if it's a home game for us. Memorial Stadium has not been a much of an advantage the last 10 years for Nebraska. So the talent gap is still very large. Nebraska may fight, but that'll be a big loss. So that'll move us to 7-4. And then for the final, the season finale, heading to Kinnick Stadium, we're going to lose to Iowa again. They have our number every single season. We've only beaten them twice since we've been in the Big Ten Conference. And that ain't going to change in 2026. Kinnick Stadium, late November. Their defense and their special teams is going to be the difference once again. I think they'll create a lot of havoc and problems for Calandria. So I think Nebraska finishes 7-5 on the season. Considering how hard the schedule is, I think that's admirable. I think that's a solid year for Matt Rhule and company. Let's talk about the offense specifically. Starting with the quarterback, I think Calandria is going to be a big factor on the ground with his legs. He had over 600 rushing yards this past season for UNLV. He's moving to the Big Ten Conference. It's a different challenge, but I think with that being the focal point, we brought in a lot of offensive linemen to help out our depth and focus on protecting the quarterback and improving our running game. So I think he could have 500-plus rushing yards. I think he's going to struggle with interceptions. You saw that when he was at UNLV. His last season he had 38 touchdowns, I think, but he had 9 interceptions. And against higher-level competition in the Big Ten, I think that he's going to throw even more. But I think he'll have a respectable season overall. But he's going to be most valuable with his legs running the football, doing zone read, RPO, options. but I think he's going to have 10 or more interceptions. Running backs, I think Matt Rhule once again not valuing transfer portal running backs. It's gonna hurt us. We've got Mekhi Nelson back, Isaiah Mosey, Quentin Ives, but but they're just not elite level running backs. I don't think Mosey's a running back. I think he's a receiver. Mekhi Nelson's too little. Quentin Ives, they never want to give him enough carries. So I think together they can combine for 1,000 or more yards, especially with the help of Calandria. But I think the running game will be the focal point of this team, obviously, bringing in Calandria, a dual-threat quarterback. But not nabbing an experienced portal guy is going to hurt us again. But running the football will be the strength and focal point of this offense. Offensive line, it'll be improved, especially in the running game, like we saw, towards the tail end of 2025. The run blocking was better. The rushing attack, again, will be the focal point and the strength of this unit. And I think with all the portal additions on the offensive line, Trey Babelotti, however you say it, Brendan Black, I think that'll help. I think that'll be a stout group. But I think pass protection is still going to be a work in progress. I think Jeep Wade, it's going to take him a couple of years to really get the guys in that he wants, get the right talent in, and develop a pipeline. But I think it'll be overall an improved unit. New coach in Jeep Wade, a lot of new faces from the transfer portal. We got Justin Evans. We got Elijah Pritchett coming back. So I think it'll be improved, but pass protection will take time. Wide receivers, I think with the addition of Quasi Gilmer, Isaiah Hunter's going to get even more opportunities to have open looks, to get big plays in the passing game like we saw on the screen game with him against Michigan State and in Maryland last season. I think just adding in another dynamic guy like Gilmer just allows him to get more opportunities to get big plays, make big plays. Our passing attack won't be elite. Calandria doesn't have a cannon arm. He's a smaller quarterback. His delivery takes him a little longer, so that could pose some problems for him, with opposing defenses getting pressure on him. But I think we do have some guys. We got a lot returning. Cortez Mills, who was a big-time recruit, freshman last season, showed flashes. We've got Jeremiah Jones also, who redshirted last season. He'll get an opportunity to play. Quinn Clark played a good amount. So we got guys returning. We got Ja'Cory Barney and Isaiah Hunter coming back. And with the addition of Quasi Gilmer, I think this could be a pretty solid group. Tight ends, I think Lyndon Meyer will have, production-wise, his best season. But ultimately, he doesn't have the playmaking ability. He's not a vertical threat like you'd hope to have in this day and age. So I think, he's not going to have much more than 350, 400 yards receiving, if that. I don't see Carter Nelson being a big factor just based on his first 2 years. I don't think he's physical enough. I think they really like having blocking tight ends on this coaching staff. And Carter Nelson isn't that. He's a dynamic playmaker. He is a vertical threat type guy, was the number one tight end recruit in the nation, and he just hasn't gotten enough reps. I unfortunately see him being a potential transfer out by the end of the season, so we'll see. All right, let's get into defense. So I see our defensive line being an improved unit, which isn't saying much. Looking at the 2025 defensive line was atrocious, but I think we're going to have better success getting after opposing quarterbacks, pressuring the quarterback, getting sacks. I think Rob Orich is a stud, young, new, up-and-coming coach. He's going to implement the 4-2-5 defense. It'll be a new scheme. I think that's going to prove to be more effective in the Big Ten Conference at stopping the run. I think we've got some solid portal additions on this defensive line, big bodies. But ultimately, we didn't get a ton of highly rated guys. No 4 stars, no 5 stars, nobody with a ton of production, previously wherever they played at before. So I think even though we brought in a lot of guys and big bodies, it'll help, but it's not going to be a tremendous improvement. We're not going to get 30-plus sacks this season. It'll be something like 18 to 25, I think. So let's talk about linebackers. I think this is going to be the best group, the best unit on this defense in 26. Adding Owen Chambliss, I think he's going to take over that jack spot for that Desan McCullough played this past season. McCullough's going to the pros. So I think it's going to be Owen Chambliss. I think he's going to be our leading tackler. I think he's going to have a hell of a year. He played in Orich's 4-2-5 scheme last year at San Diego State. Vincent Shavers is back. I thought he showed flashes at times last season. I think he's going to have a big year. Dexter Foster coming from the portal from Oregon State. Big linebacker. I think he's the type of body we want starting. I think he'll kind of overtake Dawson Merritt's reps at linebacker. I think this is going to be a solid group. Christian Jones, don't forget about him. Highly touted recruit. Will be a redshirt freshman. I think we're going to see him get some more reps and playing time. He should be a hell of a player, but I think the linebackers is going to be the top group this season. A big-time improvement from this past season with Javin Wright and Marquez Watson-Trent that were just undersized and not physically able to hold up enough against Big Ten teams. The secondary, I think, is going to be, while it was probably our strength this past season until, the final 3 games, there wasn't a strength the last 3 games on our defense. But I think where it was a strength this past season, I think it's going to be our glaring weakness this next season. We lose Deshaun Singleton, who was our most, consistent, productive tackler. It seems like the last 2-3 seasons, he was always the guy, the last line of defense, making those touchdown-saving tackles. He was a good player, and you only know how much you miss something when it's gone. And I think losing Deshaun Singleton, the Huskers didn't go nab a safety in the portal, which I didn't understand. So you saw it in the bowl game against Utah. Putting Justin Redd in there, Singleton didn't play. We had some backups in there, and it was not good. So I know we get Andrew Marshall back, but I don't think he's that good of a player. I think it was more of Sierra Wright locking down one side of the field, and Andrew Marshall, when he got the opportunity, made a few plays, but I just don't think he's as good as people think. I think losing Sierra Wright's going to be big. He didn't make a ton of plays on the ball, Sierra Wright, but he locked down one side of the field. That's why you never heard about him. So I think the new guys stepping in to the cornerback positions, it's going to take time. I know we got Danny Odom, 5-star cornerback, coming in this season from high school, but it's going to take him time to develop. Very rarely do you see a true freshman corner dominating, unless you're who's the Denver Broncos cornerback. Hang on, I got to look this up now. Unless you're Pat Surtain the second, you're not going to be a beast your true freshman year. So I think the new safeties, new cornerbacks, it's going to be an adjustment. I think against teams like Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, teams that have speed and elite talent, you're going to see that we're going to struggle in man coverage, and over the top, we're going to give up some big plays in the secondary this season. So I think that'll be our glaring weakness on the defense. So overall, again, I see us going 7-5 in 2026. It's nothing to get too excited about, but I think looking at that schedule, how difficult it is, I think that would be a big time, success for Matt Rhule. He's getting a lot of hate. People are down on him right now, especially with the way this past season played out, with how easy that schedule was. We got a gauntlet next year. We got a lot of new faces coming in, but if we can get to 7-5, I think, and all that really is just win the games that we should win, right? Win the winnable games at Michigan State, at Rutgers. Let me pull up the schedule again. I don't have us surprising anybody, right? We'll win our first 3, win against Michigan State on the road, beat Maryland at home, take care of Illinois. They've lost all their production from the last couple of years. That quarterback Altmaier's gone. So it'll be a lot of new faces for them. We should take care of that. We should take care of Rutgers. But that's it. I don't see us beating any of the teams that are going to be favored against us. Ohio State, Iowa, Washington, Oregon, Indiana are all going to take care of us. So for me, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. I know injuries are going to happen. Every team deals with injuries. There's going to be stuff that happens throughout the season, but I think 7-5 would be an admirable season and would allow Matt Rhule to not save his job. His job's safe for a while through 2032, but I think it will get Husker fans off his case a little bit. It'll start to show that, hey, he's stabilizing things. If we can just get a couple big guys in the portal after this year, finish out and lock up a really solid, promising 27 class, then who knows? We could be a contender in 27, with Calandria coming back for his senior season. So I see the Huskers going 7-5. Let me know what you guys think. Seen a lot of different reactions and thoughts on this upcoming season after they released it. But I see 7-5 is what most likely is going to play out for the Huskers. Don't forget, you guys, like, subscribe, tell your friends and family about me. I'm trying to get the word out on my podcast. Really having fun doing this. Hopefully the Huskers can surprise me and get a couple big-time wins next season, maybe get a 9-win season. That would be amazing. Just based on the last 15 years, it's been tough to watch, man. But who knows? Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to get your feedback and analysis on some of these picks in these games. Obviously, I didn't do a bunch of research on these teams that were playing. With transfer portal just coming to a close and some of these teams still working to finish out their rosters. There's a lot of unknowns still, but I always love reading your guys' comments. Like and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a game recap after the Illinois basketball game this Sunday. Don't forget to tune in and tell your friends and family about that. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. And like always, go Big Red, baby.